Bro, no. So actually, the reason why I wanted you to come though, like, I actually genuinely wanted you to come because one is you're hella good at talking. You fucking talk like this. I've known Ronnie since I was like what, like
Seventh grade, I think, is when we met.
sixth, seventh grade, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
you were in sixth, I was in seventh. That's when you moved from Kingsburg.
yeah. So I've known Ronnie since I was like 10. You know what I'm saying? We've been friends since like pretty much then. And dude, you got a lot of personality. But one, two, you like we've been through a lot of shit together, bro.
That do be facts. Basketball was, I'll say, basketball and Carruthers was definitely a bonding experience to say the least, man.
Bro, like we became like everybody on the team was like family basically.
Well, we had no choice, man. I don't know if you remember. I think I was starting to tell the story earlier. I was telling somebody at work the other day, we were talking about sports. Do you remember when your dad took us to Clovis and we got kicked out of the tournament for fighting Lemore?
Yeah, bro.
I told them the thuggest thing I've ever seen is when your pops pulled out the check and yanked it back from the coach from the other team. And I was like, yo, we're never coming back. I think I still can't go back to this day to their gym.
What did he say? He was like, I forgot.
He told him psych. He pulled it out because he said, hey, and he called him by his name. He's like, you never gave us the check. And he's like, oh yeah, I have it right here. He pulls it out of his pocket. And I remember I was sitting in the back of his Volkswagen. I was looking and I was like, he's about to give him the check. And he said, psych. And he pulls it back. And the dude's like, what do you mean? And he's like, this is bullshit. You didn't have to kick my team. I was like, yo. He told him to kick me out, not the team. And I was like, damn. I was like, damn.
That was like a regular occurrence though. We used to pull up in tournaments all the time. And like summer ball, like summer basketball that was a different time. Like we
were honestly, man, summer ball seemed like it was just a bunch of hoodlums playing ball, man. We half the time we was playing, half the time we was not. I don't know.
The thing is, like, we were exhausted, bro. Like, I was personally exhausted because we would go in the mornings. We would like do weights, we would practice, and then we would go play ball. Yeah. Like we play like 2-3 games a day, bro.
Dude, we wouldn't get home till late. I'll say that's something that like we talk about too at the school now, and I talk with other grown adults or when I was in the military, and it's just like, dude, in high school we didn't have a life. Like we weren't allowed to go out because we was traveling, we was playing, or we was practicing, but you wasn't having no time off unless you played another sport.
Yeah, and that's actually why I started playing other sports. I literally only played other sports just to like not play basketball like all year long, bro.
I learned my lesson, I think sophomore year going into junior year, when all they did was work me. And I was just like, bro, I ain't even gonna play. I was like, come on, man. It was a crazy time. I think it brings friendships that you never would have thought though.
Oh yeah, 100%, bro.
Our friend group, I will say, we are very mixed compartment.
It's diverse. It's hella diverse.
Yeah, that big ass word. You know what I was trying to say? That shit. We was very diverse, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I was talking about it. I was like, yeah, man. I was like, we had one kid who was stealing cars. I'm not saying names. There was one kid stealing cars. There's other fighters. There's kids whose parents owned businesses where I was kind of like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like, man. But hey, ain't none of that ever hit the media, man. As far as everybody knew, we were solid, good kids at school. Stand-up citizens.
That's true, bro. All right, so for the people that don't know, which is probably everybody watching, who are you, bro? Ronaldo Meza. Who are you, bro?
Shit, I'm from Carruthers, 25. Man, I was in the military for 4 years. I went to school for 2 years. Had a low-ass GPA, so I joined the military. I lived in Japan for 3 years. And then from Japan, I deployed. Well, we'll say deploying quotations. It wasn't combat deployments, but we went out and worked with other countries, did UN missions. I got to go to Thailand, Mongolia, South Korea. We got to stop in Guam, which is a territory of another country. But I got to travel a little bit. It's pretty much all about me, man.
So what's your division in the military? What are you?
Marine? Shit. Oh, yeah, I'm a Marine. I was an MP. For those of you guys that don't know, there's two sides to it, though. There's the one that stands at the gates and gives tickets. And then there's the other side that's a field MP. So when I first got there, my job was convoy security. So I was in a Humvee on top of machine guns. And when I wasn't on top of a truck, I was carrying a saw, which is a machine gun itself. And as time went on, I think within 8 months, I'll say, maybe 6 months of me being in Japan, I got selected to go on the MEU and be part of the Helo Raid team. So then that became kind of my specialty for a year. I got attached to grunts and I came back. They got rid of my unit. And then my last 8 months, I had to work as an on-base cop. But by that point, I was a corporal, which isn't very high ranking. But when you're overseas, it counts as something, especially in the Marine Corps, it counts as something.
Yeah.
I got put in charge of a shift. And then my last 8 months, for 12 hours of a day, 3 days a week. I was in charge of the base myself. So, you know, shit was running wild out there a little bit. We had drifters. We had a few people fighting and stuff. It was fun. Fun times,
Fight
man.
club.
Hey, man, the only thing I ever told them was, hey, if y'all gonna fight, take it to your room, man. Just don't make it public. Because the moment they made it public, I had to do something.
Yeah.
I was like, or say you guys are practicing, we called it McMap. It was a mixed martial arts.
Okay.
And I was like, if you guys are going to do that, I said, go put on your clothes and say you guys are practicing and I won't tell you guys anything. I was like, but leave. But that's a little bit about me, or everything about me, I guess. Shit. Ain't much
So
else.
you've been through like different types of training and stuff like that.
Oh, most definitely, man. Everybody goes to the boot camp.
Yeah.
Boot camp is 3 months.
Let's start with this. Like, so you're graduating high school, you go to college, right?
Yes.
And then from college, you were like, all right, fuck school.
Basically.
Well, because you wanted to be a police officer, right?
Correct. That's why I started going to school. So we graduated high school, right? Or I graduated high school, you're a year younger. I graduated high school. I was like, I'm gonna go to Fresno City for 2 years. I was like, I'm gonna figure it out. Started going to school, and then me and Dorian actually started going to play on Maddox's PE class. But it was his basketball players.
Yeah.
And we started playing or whatever. It was fun. And I was kind of like, okay. But I realized college wasn't really for me at the time. Like, I wasn't focused. I didn't like school. I was busy with other stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Looking around, as they say. And I realized, like, college ain't for me. So I was like, I need a change in my life. So I started looking into it. I always wanted to do the Marine Corps, for example, because I don't know if you remember Mr. Davis. He was the ROP crim teacher. I think he left my senior year, so you got to know.
No.
He was an old, grumpy ass dude at the high school who used to yell at everybody.
I remember him. Yeah.
Now, do you remember him?
I never talked to him right in class.
Okay.
I remember seeing him.
He was grumpy, but once you talk to him, like, he had the coolest stories, and he was a Vietnam vet, but he was a Marine. So whenever it came time that I was like, I need something new in my life, like, I want to explore the world, I want to do something, I always thought back to him. So I visited every recruiting station. I got the information from everybody except the Air Force. They wanted me to do an appointment, and I was like, man, y'all fucking retarded, bro. I ain't doing no appointment. And they were like, yeah, it's like 2 weeks out. And I was like, I'm good. But I met with the Army, I met with the Navy, and I met with the Marines. And of course, I mean, you know me pretty well.
Yeah.
I like challenges, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the Marine Corps. So signed up. I think it was like 8 months out. Waited for my date to leave. I left June 10th, and then I started June 11th. And man, I was not ready for that shit at all, man. I went in there and I was like, I'm good. And I was not good.
So you what's it called? You sign up, you get accepted or whatever it is, June 10th, and you leave June 10th.
And then I started June 11th.
Where was that at?
San Diego. So they drove me to Sacramento. So I signed November, I think it was like 22nd. It was right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I signed their contract saying like, yes, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And then June 10th, I left to Sacramento, and I was there June 10th. They did a bunch of tests, quote unquote. It's called MEPS. They like run you through blood. They give you briefs, and then you sign your final contract. That's like, I'm going to be here for 4 years and all this other stuff. And then from there, you fly, I believe, if I remember correctly, you fly the next day after you're done with everything in the evening. And then you wait at what's called the USO. It's basically where the military members wait. And at 11 at night that day, they show up, and a bunch of dudes with these freaking hats, they're called campaign covers, come running in and just start screaming. And they're like, get up. And everybody just freezes. And that's like your first reality where you're kind of like, oh shit. But in your head, you think, this is going to die down, like it ain't going to be anything.
Yeah.
Load you up onto a bus like you're a bunch of freaking cows. You sit down, and then they tell you to put your head down. And then everybody like puts their head into their seats, and you can't see where you're going. I mean, there's people that peek.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I did not peek. I was like, I ain't risking this shit. I just kept my head down. I think I peeked maybe once. I lied.
What happened to like people that peeked? Or like, did they...
Nothing. They were just watching. They just scream at you. And
Yeah.
they're like, what's your name?
Yeah.
It was just a fear tactic. And then you pull up. It's the middle of the night. They pull you up in front of these yellow footprints. And one dude comes running on, and he's just like, sit up straight and look at me. If you look up the video, that's literally what they say. I will never forget. And everybody like sits up and looks at him, and then he like welcomes you, supposedly, but he's screaming at you. And he's like, you have 30 seconds to get off this bus. And he screams, everybody just starts running. Well, you just start getting in line, and they basically put you through the whole process. They take away all your belongings, anything except for anything that's religious. Anything that's religious, they let you keep, but anything that's not religious, you have to give up. And then they shave your head. They freaking make you sign a bunch more papers. They freaking make you change. I think that was the weirdest thing.
So you get there. So you're getting to San Diego, right there. This is the bus to San Diego.
Correct.
And so you get off the bus, and what do you do right off the bus?
You get in line.
You just get in line straight up?
You get in line. And then they make you take a knee. They make you read a screen. And then that's when they start filing you in. And they take everything away from you, except for religious stuff. Your clothes, your shoes, your wallet, if you took it, anything else, you put into a box. You tape it up. You put your information on it. And then you basically keep going. And then they make you change. And that's like, I think when reality hits, because they don't let you have shame. Like, you can't be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like, you're changing and you're going to change, and you're basically in a bunch of lines. So you're like there's, I'll say 4 lines deep in the room, and they give you the clothes and they get 30 seconds, you better change. And for like the first 2 seconds, everybody kind of looks around like shit. And then one dude starts, and then everybody just puts their heads down and starts changing. And I was like, man.
So is it boys and girls in the same spot?
No. Well, it's changing now, but when I went through, it was all boys.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as awkward.
Yeah.
But now they're switching it to boys and girls. And then for the next 3 months, you eat, you freaking get messed up with them. You get sleep deprived with the same group of guys. And I still talk to some of those dudes. I'll say there's 80 of us.
Yeah.
I still talk to a solid like 10 or 15. But we have a Snapchat group where all like, I say 60 out of the 80 will still send stupid shit.
Yeah.
From there, you go to combat school, or combat training is what they call it. Basically, for a month, you just go.
Hold on. I want to go back. I want to do the boot camp more.
You want to do boot camp?
I want to hear this shit. Yeah.
All right.
Well, there's a specific reason. I want to ask you a question after why. Because, so you get to boot camp, right? It's 3 months?
Yeah, it's 3 months, 13 weeks.
13 weeks. So let's take like the first like 2 weeks. How are the first like 2 weeks?
So the first week you're there, actually, they'll let you sleep, but the way they mess with you, because they're supposed to, they have to give you an allotted 8 hours. But the way they go around it is they give you something called fire watch, which is basically you have to wake up for an hour.
Okay.
And what they'll do is, I'm pretty sure they're smart enough that they do the math to where like they'll wake you up, let's say every other night.
Yeah. But
they'll wake you up and you only get like maybe 5 or 6 hours of sleep. But then the whole day you're running, you're getting stressed, you don't eat as much. But the first week you're there, they do I call it the in process. It's not what it's called, that's what I call it. They do your paperwork, they do your shots, where there's this infamous shot called the peanut butter shot. They pull your pants down, it goes right into your cheek.
What?
And it feels like peanut butter. Like, it's literally like a glob that you feel in there.
What is it?
I think it's penicillin is what somebody said.
It's just like to like get rid of.
Yeah, it's I don't know what penicillin does. I ain't a doctor, but it's supposed to be good for you because they said that they bring so many people from so many parts of the country.
Yeah, bring it together.
Yeah, it's a way to avoid it. But the first 3 days, that's what they do. So you get there on Monday, and then they do that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday morning, they call it Black Friday. You freaking do your entrance exam or your entrance fitness test. It's the IFT. It's 1.5 miles, pull-ups and crunches. It's easy. Yeah. And that afternoon, you like go, you make your bed and stuff. And that afternoon, they go and they sit you down. And that's where, like, I don't know how many of you guys have seen the TikToks and stuff. Comes those infamous videos of everybody sitting down and the drill instructors come running out. Yeah. And they start throwing stuff around. That's where those videos come from. So you sit there.
That's the first day.
No, that's the first Friday.
First Friday.
Yeah, that's the first week. So they like introduce, the officer comes in, introduces himself, says how like you're going to be treated fairly, you're going to be treated like a person, all this other stuff. Introduces the senior drill instructor, which is the guy in charge. Yeah. And then the senior drill instructor introduces the other guys. Well, the officer leaves, and the moment he leaves, all hell breaks loose. Like, the moment he leaves and that door closes, the dude gives a little tiny speech, turns around, goes to his door, and he says, drill instructors, you got him. And the moment that door closes, hell breaks loose. They start screaming. Everything that you own is on the floor, including toiletry, toothbrushes, toothpaste. Everything was all over the floor. And they were like, you better find yours. You better find. And you're just, at that point, you're grabbing whatever you can grab. Like, you don't care.
Even
if it's not yours, man. You was grabbing. And that's the first week. The second week is basically them breaking you down more, making sure you get to your appointments on time, and then they start giving you classes, which is something that I feel people don't think about, because I have that conversation. I work for high school now. Had that conversation. We're rolling some kids for summer school. Yeah. And one of the younger kids, he wasn't in high school yet, but he was trying to roll into summer school, was like, well, I'm going to do the military so I don't have to do school. And I laughed. And I was like, let me tell you something, man.
Let me tell you something.
I was like, there's more school than you think, man. Those 3 months, I was doing classes a lot of those days. And those like sit down, boring classes about the history, which I say boring then. Now I like that I know the history about the Marine Corps and I appreciate it because it's what makes us different. But you learn history, you learn not really weapon systems, but you'll learn how to treat basic stuff. Somebody gets shot, how to put a freaking tourniquet, how to cover stuff. But you're sitting in a lot of BS classes or your benefits. And that's something that I didn't expect that slowly transitions into there. First portion of them is they break you down. The second portion is they start building you up. And then the third portion of, because they break into 3 phases.
Yeah.
The third phase is like the very end of boot camp. Yeah. By that point, they're making you, how do I say this? We call it into a motivator. They basically make you into this person that you're like, I'm
very
ready.
Stoic.
Yes, basically. Yeah. You're ready to do what's needed when needed. And that's their last portion of it. So the first, I'll say like 3-4 weeks, all they do is mess with you. They break you down, which I actually had an incident. It was team week. I think it was maybe week 3. We were in line for food and they were like, everybody scream back. And we were all, yes, sir. Well, the drill instructor didn't see me scream. And he was like, how about you scream? And I was like, he ain't talking to me. And you can't look around. So I was in line looking straight forward. And I was like, oh, this dude ain't talking to me. And I was like, damn. And he started getting mad. And I was like, damn, somebody's about to get fucked up. Oh, can I cuss? Can I cuss? Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
All right. I was like,
move the mic a little bit closer to you.
I was like, somebody's about to get fucked up. And as soon as I said that, he kept saying it. And in my head, I was like, damn, some retard isn't answering him. And next thing I know, I just feel somebody grab my shoulder and start just shaking me. And all I hear is like, yes, you motherfucker. I was like, oh, shit. And I was like, yes, sir. Started screaming back. And he said I wasn't screaming loud enough. And I kept screaming. And he grabbed my cover, which is what everybody would know as a hat. And he flipped it. I don't know how he flipped my bill, but he flipped it. And he poked into my eye where I got mad. And I stopped answering him. He was like, how about you fucking respond? And I was like, and I stopped answering. And as soon as he said again, you're not responding, every drill instructor just came running to me. And I was surrounded by like 15 guys. And the front of my shirt was getting pulled, the back, the sides. And they can't hit you, which I'll say, like, I never got punched in the face by them or anything. But they'll do subtle gestures.
They'll instigate you.
Yes. They'll instigate you. They'll let you know you're there. Like when you do drill, they'll kick your rifle and accidentally kick your shin. Little stuff like that. Yeah. So they were all like yanking me and stuff. And I was like, dude, and I just stopped answering. So for like the next, I'll say 3 weeks, for like the next month, they only let me eat my peanut butter and jelly sandwich and my vegetables.
So like that's all you were eating?
That's all I was eating. So, I mean, you knew me in high school. I was really thin. I went in, I think, weighing 170 and I graduated weighing 150.
What the?
I was tiny. Because, I mean, that's what it was. But it was a lesson. I learned this when I hit the fleet, which is when you go to your unit. There's a method to the madness. Yeah. And at that time I didn't understand it, but as time went on I realized like they were doing it to see basically how far I would allow them or at the same time push myself before I gave in. So
were there anybody at boot camp you're like, why the fuck are you here? Like,
oh yes. Oh man, there's one kid, I don't think this kid's gonna see it. His name's Casey. Short little dude from Texas, man. I had to dress him for 2 weeks.
Why?
He couldn't dress himself. So they give you in the morning at 5, we'll say like 5:30. They throw the lights on and I hear lights. Jump off your bed and then they count, make sure nobody ran away. Because it's an actual base. You can leave if you want. Yeah. And I mean, not when you're in boot camp, but there's people stationed there that can leave. So there's an exit. And basically they count, make sure everybody's there. And then after they count, they make you get dressed, you hygiene and stuff. This kid couldn't get dressed in time. And then he peed the bed and he thought it was a good idea to wrap up the peed blankets. And we call it a foot locker. Basically, it's the only thing you own with privacy. He threw his piss sheets in there and he got caught because it smelled like piss. And they walk by and they can smell. Yeah. And homeboy got messed up. And then they're like, you know what? You can't change yourself. And they're like, Meza. And I was like, yes, sir. They're like, he sleeps next to you? And I was like, yes, sir. They're like, okay, so you're going to dress you and him. And I was like, fuck.
Wait, so like every morning you would just like...
Every morning I would dress him.
Like how you just put on his...
I had to put on his pants. So you sleep in a green on green. They're basically little booty shorts and a shirt. And basically every morning I would freaking have to put his pants on for him. I'd be like, put one leg in, the other leg in.
He would just let you do it?
Yep, he had to. because they'd come and watch. Like the drill instructors would sit there and be like, "Go ahead."
So for 2 weeks, you were
For
just
2 weeks, I had to dress him, and then they kicked him. They didn't kick him out, but they kicked him out of our platoon, and he had to start back at 0 again. And we were like 5 weeks in already.
And does anybody like leave? Like, does anybody like just like, "Oh, I can't do this anymore"?
There's a few,
Yeah.
but there's more than a few. I'll say that. It's not a rare thing, but it happens. It just depends. I saw one dude who didn't eat, and he passed out, and he fainted because homeboy wasn't eating.
Yeah.
And at night they do counts before we go to bed, and they were doing counts, and I'll never forget, his body just went limp. Well, one of the drill instructors thought he was doing it on purpose, and he choke slammed him against the freaking thing. And he's like, "Stand up." And the kid couldn't stand. And then they sent us to bed. And that night, I guess they came back out when everybody was asleep. And they took him to the hospital, and they ended up kicking him out because homeboy wasn't eating. And when they asked him why, he said because he didn't want to be there.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this, man. I think the key to boot camp is realizing you fucked yourself. You fucked yourself. And you're in there for the long haul, man. Because if you try to fight it, it's like, I think it's accepting you're in the shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
Nah, I
So,
got you. So after boot camp, what are you doing after boot camp?
I came home for 10 days, man. I was bald. I don't know if you remember, went to UCLA game. That was went with Johan them.
Yeah.
Went to the UCLA game and then went back for that combat training. It's called Marine Combat Training. Basically, everybody that is not a grunt, which a grunt is an 0311, they're like the real fighters, but I mean, we haven't been in a war for years.
Yeah.
But the dudes that went in the early mid 2000s, like they're real, real war fighters, they go to their separate school. But every other job, from cook to mailman, to artillery, to everything else, comes to this school, to this Marine school for combat training. The whole month, all you do is hike, shoot guns, and eat shitty ass food. That's all that happens. And when I went through, I was the third class that they did co-ed for the Marine Corps. Before that, it was strictly male and strictly female.
Yeah.
And oh man, let me tell you, I think the Marine Corps needs to think about what they're doing, because we had people fucking in the porta potties. We had people starting relationships and getting married after that. Like, it was not it, man.
I mean, that's what happens when you just force people to come together. Like, what you're expecting to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, everybody had just came off 3 months of seeing your gender, whatever you want to identify as, your gender against the other. And now you're cooperated with everybody.
Yeah.
So it was very different. And we did that. They tried to separate us, like at night. They would make us sleep in different places and whatever. But it's just like, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
People, want to do their thing. So it wasn't well. I did that for a month.
And where was that at?
That was in San Diego as well. That was in Pendleton. So everything for the Marine Corps is East Coast or West Coast.
Yeah.
So you're in San Diego or, oh damn, I believe it's Lejeune. It's Paris Island. I'm a jackass. It's Paris Island is their boot camp, and I think Lejeune is their MCT. But you either go East Coast or West Coast, and everything was West Coast. I was in San Diego for everything, and I graduated October from there, because I graduated September, showed up September 17th, yeah. October, I think, like 20th, and then I went to Missouri. Lived in Missouri from October to April.
Gee, how was that?
Man, coldest time. We were in negative 10 degree weather.
Shit.
And they ain't give a shit. They were like, "Oh, you guys are still gonna do stuff." My first week or second week there, they're like, "Hey man, you guys are gonna go be Op 4, which is basically you're playing war with these people, and you're the opposition. So you do whatever they tell you." So our job was to be the Taliban, and it was in an actual village. And
so you're out there just like pretending to be a Taliban.
Yep.
And there's like a opposite like squad.
The guys that are training are the opposite. So for us, it was the other Marines that were about to graduate, and that was their final culminating event. Is they did what was supposed to be a 4-day field op where they went through Afghani villages, or Afghanistan or Middle Eastern villages to be politically correct. And basically they were practicing, because I did it too right before I graduated. You practice basically looking for IEDs, basic stuff, going through, grabbing people you need to grab and leaving, getting into quote unquote firefights. I mean, we had blanks, it wasn't real anything, but it was just a simulation of getting formation, finding cover, evacuating people. So my second week there, we went to be the Op 4, and I'll never forget, the temperature hit negative 10. And these people didn't tell us that those freaking sleeping bags were meant for like whatever Arctic weather is. Yeah. But we were sleeping on, what are those things called? They're not beds, but they're like what the prisoners use.
The cot.
Cot. Yeah. It was a cot. So we were using cots, and nobody explained science to us that if you're in the air, basically bridges freeze first because there's a gap of the airflow, and we didn't know. So all of us froze all night. And finally they woke us up in the morning, and then we did half of that day, and they kicked us to go back. And that was when I realized, like, just because I graduated boot camp doesn't mean I'm gonna get treated much better. Like, these dudes don't care.
Yeah.
Like, we're just there. Did that. I was there for 1 month, 2 months before I got picked up to go into the actual school. And then I started the school in December to be an MP. First half was everything to do with law enforcement. We did our law enforcement training. We went through like the laws of the bases, how we can't leave the bases, everything we controls within the bases. We drove patrol cars, went through like domestic violence. I got OC'd, so I got pepper sprayed. Worst time of my life. Don't do it if they give you the opportunity, man.
I thought you had, didn't you? Like, aren't you like forced to get pepper sprayed?
Yeah, you have to get pepper sprayed. But I'm saying, if you out, you know, there's people that are like, I want to know what it feels like. No, you don't. You don't want to. You don't, man. I thought I was going to be good. I thought I was decent with pain. Hell nah. I couldn't see. I had boogers running down my face. It was hanging off my chin like a beard. I was like, God damn. I thought I couldn't breathe for a second. So did that the first half. And then the second half, they focused for us at the time. It was a two-sided thing. The second half was field side. So that's when they taught us about machine guns, how to clear rooms, how to deal with all that stuff. They didn't go super into it because, again, when I went through only 4 years ago before they changed it, it was 50-50 where you were going. You could either go and be an on-base cop your 4 years, or you could go to a field unit and do what I got to do for the first 2.5 years of being in Japan. I did that once I graduated.
Do you get to choose where you go? Like, it's like, 'cause Japan's like a random ass area. You're like,
No.
like, we were all confused. You're like, yo, Ronnie's going to Japan. Like, why are you going to Japan, bro? Like,
Nah. So the only choice they give you is, so for being an MP, when you're in the schoolhouse, you get the opportunity to go work with the president. So they tell you can sign up, and you get a clearance and all this other stuff. It's called HMX. And you don't get to do anything really cool. Like, you're not private security, nothing like that. You're just, if you've seen those videos, you know, the Marines that stand in front of the helicopter?
yeah.
Like, that's your job. And then, like, there'll be a team of you guys standing by somewhere, but you don't do anything super crazy. You get that option, but again, they can deny you, and they denied, I think, half of the people, more than half.
Yeah.
And then the other option is they tell you at some point, they say, okay, we're halfway through before you guys graduate. Who wants to go overseas? And then by overseas for a Marine, all that really means is Korea, South Korea, or Japan, which now I think Guam has a base, and I think Guam might count now, but those are like the two big ones. And then they're like, if you don't sign this paper, you're not volunteering, but you can still get chosen to go overseas. If not, you're going to stay stateside. And I debated for a long time if I wanted to do it or not. And it actually came down to one of my really, really close friends, and well, two of them. And she was the one that started it, and her name's DeBo. She was like, come on, dude, like, we're going to travel, blah, blah, blah. And then my buddy Chan, we were a little trio. He was like, yeah, dude, I'm going to do it. And I was like, okay. Funny story, at the end of the fucking day, those two assholes went to mainland, and I fucking went to Okinawa. So I still got separated from them. But I don't regret it. I got there in April of 2019. Yeah. April of 2019. I graduated, and then like 10 days later, I left. And I got there. For the first week, they basically give you a rundown of what everything is there, and then they send you to your unit. And I got really, really lucky that within the first few days, the dudes liked me. Like, I kind of got along with them, but like you said, I'm a talker. So I got along with them a little bit. The first day there, though, oh God, they do. That's where I learned what method to the madness was. They treat you like, I had to scrub the wall with the toothbrush.
They made you get a toothbrush. And
they made me go grab my toothbrush from my room and scrub
your own toothbrush?
My own toothbrush while they were throwing bleach on the wall. I had to unstack. They have the dryer stacked on each other. I had to unstack dryers. I had to wipe the ceiling with my shirt. We had to clean dirt and mop the parking lot.
You had to clean dirt?
We had a fake plant in the freaking common area, which is where everybody goes to hang out. And I had to clean the dirt. Well, we all had to clean the dirt. There was, I think, 6 of us that had just gone there.
What did you do? You just scrubbed the dirt?
Yeah, you were just with your hand shaking it, trying to see if you got any trash in it. And it's basically, they explained it to me once I picked up rank, and as I got further in, they explained it to the matter, which I understood is like, They're trying to see how far they can stress you before you break, because the whole time they're fucking with you.
Well, I feel like, isn't that like the whole point of boot camp and combat training? Like, I feel like once you get to that point, what more do you need? Or I guess you keep needing more. I don't know.
You do. And the reason, I mean, I'll go into why, is because I saw it firsthand. Again, I put quotations around deployment. No offense to anybody, but coming from a combat side of the jobs, if you're not in firefights, I don't consider it a deployment.
Yeah.
I know everybody's going to get mad because they're still deployments, but a non-combat deployment, the first one that I went to was Mongolia, and it was a UN mission. Our whole job was to train the Mongolians to go out. But while we were training them, we were training ourselves. So we'd embed with them, which basically, you know what that means, like we'd work with them.
Yeah.
So when we teach them how to do TCCC, which is basically tactical field care, like it's how to treat wounds, we'd do it with them. So we'd be a part of them so we can get certified.
Wait, okay, so I wanna make this like a topic. So you guys, you're going this, you finish combat training, you're in this, right? You do your 1 week, whatever it is. And basically now the US is going to other countries and training
Foreign militaries.
So you are training other countries' militaries.
Correct. So they're already military members, right? Like they're their own country, but we train them in our tactics. The crazy part is they're not.
Why do we do that?
I think they try to build allies or friends, but the thing is, so when I was in Mongolia, China showed up.
Yeah.
And I actually got to see Chinese soldiers while we were there.
Yeah.
Same thing when I was in Thailand. They would do flyovers while we were doing events with them. The only thing in Thailand that did worry us is we had a 4-star general there, and we actually had to provide security for him. So like his compound was on lockdown with us. And right next to his compound was basically, it's called the Nipper. It's basically the secret online stuff that has all the important stuff, all the strategic, and and we had to guard that. And we had Chinese flyovers all the time. We had like people that we would stop and we'd ask the Thais or the Thailand people, we'd be like, hey, like, who are they? And they'd be like, oh, they're not from here. Like, not being racist, but we'd be like, they're Asian, like, you can't tell the difference. And they'd be like, oh no, like they're not from here. They're like, they're Chinese, or they're Korean, or they're from Laos, or all this other stuff. But we would give them pointers. In Thailand, it wasn't so much pointers. My job at that point was basically securing the 4-star general and rolling around with him, making sure he was good, which was all of our team, and taking care of his compound. But Mongolia was a different story. Mongolia was straight up training them, letting them know like what was up, what was down.
How long were you in Mongolia for?
We were supposed to be there, I think, a month. We ended up being there 2 months, a little bit more, because actually speaking of China wouldn't let us fly over. So for those of you guys that don't know, Mongolia is in between China and Russia perfectly. And when it was time to fly out, I guess China kept saying no. So we were supposed to be gone before the 4th of July.
Wait, so what do you mean they said no? Like they just like...
They wouldn't let us use the airspace.
You can't just go around? It's kind of far,
No, there was no way to go around. So if you look at Mongolia on the map...
it's like right, I know, in between Russia and
China.
Actually, you can't go to Russia.
Obviously, no, Russia would have definitely shut us down. Yeah, no. So, and China was saying that they weren't going to allow us to use the airspace.
So how do you feel like when you're meeting these Chinese people? So like, are you scared? Are you like ready?
We couldn't talk to them.
So like you're just like...
Yeah, we knew like it was game on. Like we couldn't talk to them. We couldn't look at them. We couldn't nothing. Like they were just straight up like, if you guys see them, do not come near them.
Yeah.
If anybody tries to befriend you, like get away from them. Which is actually funny. One of my buddies, to this day, one of my really close friends, his name's O'Neill. We went through everything together from the schoolhouse forward. He he met this girl and everybody hyped him up to go hit on her. She was from a different country. Yeah. And he wanted to go hit on her. Well, this girl started asking him, how many people did you come with? What kind of weapons did you guys bring? How long are you guys here for? And he ended up having to get interviewed he got interviewed there by our human intel basically person. Yeah. And when we came back to Japan, he got interviewed again because they started looking into it, because they were like, that's weird. Like, those are some weird questions for you to ask. But real quick, before we completely leave the subject talking about stress, because I brought up O'Neill, love this man to death. Love him to death.
Hold up, move the mic a little closer. You just move it back, like the whole stand. Yeah, just move it back. Yeah. No, like that way. Yeah, there you go.
Like that?
I mean, I guess move just closer to you. Close to you. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Love the man to
Like
death.
a little bit up, like you know what I'm saying, closer to your mouth, bro. There you go. You can like hold this part. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, that's good.
I think we go right there. Right there.
Yeah.
Love the man to death, but we were doing tourniquets, and you have to run 50 yards in your full kit. So your full kit's your bulletproof vest, your helmet, and then you carry your gun, and you have to run 50 yards, and you have to put a tourniquet on somebody. Well, because it's real life events, quote unquote, they have the person screaming. So the person you're trying to apply it to is screaming and like grabbing onto you. He's trying to make it as realistic as possible.
Yeah.
Well, of course, because we were new, or we were called boots at the time, they would make you fail the first time. Well, when they failed us, they failed him first. I told him, I said, cut the line. He said, nah, man, I ain't going to cut the line. And I said,
What does cutting the line mean?
So they sent him back. So he failed. So they told him to get in line again. And I told him, I said, dude, just get to the front.
Oh, so you're just like cut. Oh,
yeah, I just said like, hey, dude, cut the line, get in front of me. He didn't want to. He was like, nah, I'm going to go to the back. And I was like, all right, dude. I said, if you're the last one, they're going to screw with you, because there was only 3 boots that went to that UN mission. It was me, him, and one other dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're going to get messed with. So, of course, they made me fail my first time. So I came back and I cut the line. I was like, hey, man, they told me to cut the line. I started bullshitting. They told me to cut the line, guys. They're like, oh, okay, you're good. So I cut the line. I went again. I passed. So then here comes O'Neal. And as he was the last one of the corporals said, hey, guys, we got a boot coming. So everybody stopped what they were doing. And if I show you the video, it's on YouTube, actually, because it was like my first year there. They show everybody just huddles around this guy on the floor. And they're like, go ahead. And this just starts running. Well, as he shows up, man, people are smacking him. They're like, they're stressing him out.
Yeah.
They're smacking his helmet and stuff. This dude cannot apply a tourniquet. And we're there for like, I'll say a solid 15 minutes because he wasn't used to that much stress. Because he went, I mean, nothing wrong with it. He went straight after high school. He came from a family that didn't really yell like that.
Yeah.
He wasn't used to it. So I think that's why they do, to the earlier conversation, they deal with, they try to make us be more and more used to stress, or be okay with the stress levels.
How do you feel, I guess, let's go like a little bit back here, because I feel like you were probably more prepared for the situation than a lot of people were.
Oh, most definitely, man.
Because like I'm not only just like I'm not a fan of basketball, because basketball, our coaches yelled at us a lot. But you know, like life in general, like we grew up in Carruthers, like a lot of shit goes on down, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's I'll say,
like how would you, how much more prepared do you think you were because of like basketball and where you grew up versus somebody else?
I think I'll say this. I think Carruthers are hit or miss. Sometimes it's the best town to live in, man. There's nothing going on, and then there is time frames where you're kind of like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, come on, guys. But I'll say, growing up in a Hispanic community, and with a lot of my family being super Hispanic and my uncles and stuff living there, I was a little more prepared, because I mean, Hispanics are normal to yell at each other, so I was used to getting yelled at. So when I got there, it was different. And then of course basketball, I mean, not throwing, which, you know, I had many coaches in my high school career, but you already know how those coaches were. Like, they kept us in line, man. They made sure we knew.
Hey, they're gonna watch this, bro.
I mean, shout out to them, man. They definitely, I'll say, give a big preparedness. Not only for the military, but for life, man. Like, I think back to a lot of the stuff, and when I look back at it, I'm like, they definitely molded me, man. Like, they did a lot of stuff. So when I showed up, I think I was definitely prepared, because the way we were treated, I mean, we weren't treated like shit, but we weren't treated very good. Like, we knew they cared. But you knew, like, if you do something stupid, you're gonna be dealt with.
I think
your backwards layup.
The difference is like, they would push us like to our limit, right? And they would, like, you know, yell at us, scream, whatever it was. But then, like, after, they would take care of us, you know what I'm saying?
Almost definitely.
But then, like, in the military, you had all that yelling and screaming, but then they're like, all right, fuck you.
Yeah, they're just like, figure it out. But I'll say they're similar to a certain head coach that the military is in the way of him, that they will push you over the edge and they will let you soak. But if they realize, and it happened a lot, like my corporals were like that, but if they realize you're soaking too much, or you're getting in your feelings, as they would say, they'll come and sit down with you, which you already know who I'm talking about. Like, he would purposely push you over the edge.
I mean, you can say it, bro.
I mean, we all know it's Hendo. Like, I love the man. Like, he'll push you over the edge. And then when he realizes you're soaking, or in his words, you're being a little bitch, he'll come over and he'll care, because he cared. I mean, he cared about us, man. That dude, hats off to him, man. He did a lot for us. He definitely made sure we were good. Like, shit, my parents didn't have the money to pay for all those AAU tournaments, man. And somehow Navi, your dad, him, and Lucas would figure a way for me to go to the AAU tournaments with you guys, or go on road trips, or when we went to freaking, it was Tempe, right? When we went to the Nike tournament in Arizona.
Oh yeah.
It was like that. Like, dude, I didn't have to pay out of pocket. Like, I think.
Oh yeah, a lot of like our parents came together. Like I gotta give a shout out to my dad for real, because I didn't realize this when I was growing up too, but like my dad would pay for a lot of like the tournaments, like our jerseys and shit, and you traveling. Like I know he pitched in a lot for Arizona too. Like I didn't really say thank you a lot to my dad growing up, but like honestly, like thank you to him, because he really thinking about it now, he would drive us to like all the tournaments.
He never charged us gas, food. Hey, think about it this way, and I thought about it the other day. All of summer, him and Navi would take us, because it was, if you remember correctly, it was against rules for Henderson to coach us.
Yeah.
Because it was summer break, so your dad and Coach Navi would do it. I don't remember ever being charged gas, ever being charged for any tournament. I think the most we ever paid was $10.
Yeah.
And that was only whenever it was like tournaments that we wanted to go to that they didn't want to take us to. Like, what was that place that had the surf? Lindsay?
Yeah.
Like that place. Like, dude, we had no business there. Like, the teams there were, no offense to those teams, but they were jokes. Like, we were there for shits and giggles because we had fun. And those were the tournaments that they were like, all right, guys, $10. But other than that, man, we didn't pay for anything.
Yeah. No, it was good, bro. It was a good time. Like, I think about it all the time. Like, we did a lot more than like some D1 schools would do. Like, we were really in it, bro. Like, we were in it.
Dude, yeah.
Like we if you think about it in high school, bro, like we had like the top program. Like football didn't do what we did.
Yeah.
Like, there was no other like volleyball, soccer. Like they were probably mad jealous of like, like what are these guys doing?
I think it's highlighted now that the girls win state.
Oh yeah.
But I think when we were in school, I think is the people who started it. Which I mean, by we I mean us and the girls, because the girls were doing really good when we were.
Like the basketball. Girls and boys basketball programs together were like, it was pretty much one almost.
I think if Henderson would have stayed, the boys would be at the level the girls are.
Yeah.
If they wouldn't have got rid of Henderson, or if they would have I'll be honest, if they would have let your dad or Navi or Lucas stay, like I think the boys would have been just as well off as the girls are. But, you know, stuff happens. But I definitely think we are, because when I was overseas, I would talk to kids. I met a few kids from Fresno that played at Buchanan or Bullard and stuff. They didn't do half the stuff we did, man. They didn't get to travel.
Yeah.
We had freaking get-togethers. That's the one thing I will say. I love your mom, and your dad always would make me laugh when he would always yell at us. He'd be like, man, you guys like this is your fucking house, because he would eat all your shit. I was like, dude, nobody else got those experiences. We used to dunk when Teak almost broke his arm.
Oh my God, he broke his back. You remember that?
Facts. Teeks, if you're watching this, you're still a clown, dude. I will never forget that shit. Homeboy said, fuck it. He just hung and fell back. But I think that sort of stuff is what made us bond, is on and off the court, we'd hang out. We'd play pickup games together. Yeah. I think if we started in middle school, if we would have started, dude, I think we would have been unstoppable, to be honest.
It's because it's crazy the amount of time we spent with each other. Like, for practice, like, there was times in the year where I would see you guys more than, like, our family. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, most definitely.
Because, like, we would be on the road, we'd practice, we'd go to school together. We were doing literally everything. And so if we started that earlier, I think it would have been crazy. Because think about it, Almeida, right? Almeida is the girls' head coach at our high school. And she starts basically all of her kids, like on all the people she's bringing up to her high school, they start in like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. They're playing together. And so the time they get to high school, they're already set. Their teams they're already got the connection. They are everything.
Dude, it's because you learn how to read each other. That's the thing I will say. Like, shit, I was not the best player. I was an okay player. But when me and Dorian went to go play at Coach Maddox's freaking PE classes, if me and Dorian were on the same team, I played amazing. And why? Because me and him had that connection, which I'm pretty sure we all do if we play together, where we understand each other's roles. And it's just like, cool. Like, I know, for example, like if you or Dorian are coming down the lane, it's like, cool, I'm going to move out the block. You guys are probably going to drive. It's like, that's just what it is. Like, you guys are both drivers.
And you know, like, the exact spots to go to and everything.
And it's like, I'm going to move. And it's like, if you guys give Sookman the ball, that motherfucker's going to shoot it. Whether he's open or not, my boy's going to take that shot. So it's like, all right, get ready for a rebound.
Slickman, the possession ends here.
Literally. So it's just like, I already knew. It's like the only people that was a gamble were Elliot and Hardy. And that's because they were both very much readers. Like Elliot had a pretty good IQ.
Yeah.
Where he'd be like, I'd shoot if I have to, but if not, I'm dumping.
Yeah.
And that was it, man. And I'll say we had a bond that I think if we started younger, man, we'd have been stopped. Cause shit. Yeah,
I mean, technically, we should have won like 2 Valley championships.
you guys should have won 3. Well, we should have won 2.
3.
You should have won 3.
Yeah.
But shit, I'm gonna be honest, man. Fuck those refs from Fowler to this day. Fuck those refs. That shit was not a push.
Ronnie, you cost us a Valley championship, bro.
I did not shove that kid. I bumped him. I remember the huddle footage.
Hold on, let's give context to this. So this was my so just back up so people understand this. So my sophomore year, basically we won Valley championship. That was when we had Waltrip,
Clark,
you're a junior,
Matt,
right?
my junior, and Albert.
And so we were running. We had a really good team. Like we would be beating D1 teams, like on the reg. Like we would go to like these high level tournaments. I want you guys to understand this context. Crothers, we had a graduating class of
400.
No, graduating class.
Oh
like
shit!
like
105.
Like
on
everybody,
a good day.
Everybody knew everybody. We had like 400 kids total in our school, and we're going up there and beating schools that have like thousands of kids in like a high school or thousands of kids in like one class, and we're beating these guys. So we were a really good team that year, and I don't think we had any doubt that we were gonna lose. Like we were like,
we thought we were gonna make that fucking state run that year.
We almost did.
That fucking private school with a 7'1" fucking Matumbo from Finland with the accent. God damn it, man.
And then they had the other transfer from like Italy or something.
Yeah, dude. I'll never forget. That's the story I tell is I'm like flipping through their, do you remember their magazine they had in their classroom?
Yeah.
None of those fucking kids were from California.
They're all the transfer,
They were all from out of state or out of country where I was like, y'all some fucking asshole.
And we still almost beat them too.
Facts. We lost by 2. I'll never forget that game.
Okay, yeah, but so going back to that, so sophomore year we won.
Yep.
Seniors graduate, so it's like it's not like a whole new, but we got a lot of the same players, but we got like some of our main players left, you know what I'm saying, like our point guard.
Our point guard and our
best player, pretty much Waltrip, left. So then we had to step up roles, but like Joe Hall filled out a role, he got better. You got better, I got better, everybody got better. And we thought we were going to go back to back.
We should have.
Because we were like, this is it, bro, we were good, but then we had an accident where
we were the 1 seed until that happened. Literally when that happened, I'll never forget, they knocked us I think to like 4. They knocked us to 4 until the end of the season because we went on a winning streak after that. And then they put us back up. I think it was 2, right?
I don't know.
It was 2 because we didn't have a bye. We did have a bye. We had a bye.
We had a bye, but the thing was, I don't even know, but like, so an issue happened where one of our center, he got in a car accident and a bunch of shit happened. I don't really want to go too much in detail because like I don't really know, like the whole time was like a messy time and there's a lot of like still people that are like kind of like hurt over the situation, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, like one of our better players and center got in a car accident. Our coach ended up getting like, fired. A lot of shit happened and basically, we're only down to one center, which is Ronnie. Right? So we're like, this is like, we have 3 or 4 games left in the season. We are winning a lot of them. And the last game of the season, we have playoffs like the next week. Ronnie decides to do the only thing he could, like you literally could do anything in the game. But he decides to get 2 technicals and get ejected so he can't play in the first round of the playoffs.
The second ejection wasn't supposed to be an ejection though. That's the thing.
Bruh.
That's the thing. Well, okay.
You had one job.
And I did the job up till then.
We had 6-foot Hardy playing fucking center.
Well, Hardy, dude, honestly, I think Hardy would have been fine. It's just that dude was aggressive.
No, I mean, shout out Hardy. Hardy could definitely hold it.
It's just, I think that was the only thing that killed us my senior year is like Joe Hall was big and he got very aggressive. Because that was my thing is I'm only like 6'1". I mean, with my sneakers on and the ankle thing, that grew, to 6'2", a little bit taller. Shit.
You're like 6'3", bro. Like
yeah, but I give a little inch less sometimes. But shit, Joe had gone pretty aggressive, but I think that was the one thing that saved me is how aggressive I was.
Yeah.
And I feel that's what killed us when I got out is we didn't have a third center. And my junior year, when I didn't play that much, we had 3 centers at all times.
Yeah.
So if something ever happened, like I think one of the games, Albert got sick.
Yeah.
And he didn't play. Coach still had me to pull from, which I mean, I still only played like 2 minutes that game. But the point is, he had somebody to pull from. In my senior year, we didn't have a third guy. It was just me and Johar running it. And I think they were just planning for the next year to make you guys run small. Which, I mean, you guys were fucking good enough. All you guys were quick. And you guys could shoot.
Wait, fuck, dude. We were
we were asked for a while. But I'm saying, like, in Hendo's mind, I don't know. I ain't a analyst for basketball, but if I had to guess. But, man, I think that's what saved us. I think that's where we got knocked down to the 4th seed, is because everybody's just like, this dude didn't play last year. He's played a little bit this year. He's not going to hold it. And then I think I did decent. And then Fowler, it's because I gave that one man a titty twister. That was my first technical. That one was on purpose. He pissed me off. I don't remember his fucking name, but the little point guard. I still remember what
Johnny back.
That motherfucker. Fuck that kid.
We fucked with that kid so much, bro.
Yeah, I remember I gave him a titty twister, and then the second dude, the one that I bumped into, that one was accidental, but the ref took it the wrong way, I guess.
Yeah.
And if you looked at the huddle, guys, there's evidence. If you look at the huddle, I turned around, I shook his hand, and I said, my bad. And I got a second technical. Nobody knew I got a second technical. Nobody paid attention. And I'll never forget, Elliot went, Coach, sub him out. And I was like, why is he going to sub me out, Elliot? And it was like the last 2 minutes of the game. And I was like, why the fuck would he sub me out? And then I remember Navi and your dad were like, why the fuck am I going to sub him out? It's the last 2 minutes. It's a close game. He's staying. And then Elliot's like, he has 2 technicals. And I was like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, my God.
And I remember I looked up, and right away the Fowler coach, his eyes got wide, and he walked to the table. And all I heard was, on the buzzard, and the ref walked over, and they were like, he has 2 technicals. He has 2 technicals. And I was like, fuck. And then Elliot's like, dude, you're about to get ejected. And I was like, what? And he's like, dude, 2 technicals is an ejection. And I was like, dude, I'll take my 5th foul. And he was like, no, dude. He's like, it's an ejection. And sure enough, soon as they realized it, the ref's like, hey, man, he needs to go. Walked off. And I think we lost that game.
Yeah, we ended up losing that game.
We lost by like
barely.
2 or 4.
Yeah, something like that.
Because I remember the dude was trying to talk shit to Suckman. Suckman's like, I don't want to hear it. He's like, we almost beat you guys with our backup center. And the dude got pissed. But yeah. And then we were supposed to play Farmersville. That's who we practiced for.
Yeah, and then
the whole fucking week. And then Strathmore made an upset against them.
Yeah.
And then we were kind of like, well, we didn't practice for this dude. And that kid was, I'll give him that. That kid was fucking aggressive.
Yeah, he was aggressive. But he was just also like, Elliot was like sick or some shit. Like he was barely even playing.
He was sick.
Dorian fouled out.
Honestly, now that I look back at it, because Dorian had made a comment, and this comment has never left my mind, we should have done what we always did.
Yeah.
Because with me out, you guys were all quick enough to guard anybody.
Yeah, we should have.
We should have switched Dorian to him, because Dorian would have taken care of him.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure nobody thought of that. Everybody was just.
It was just such a hectic time, bro. There was a lot going on.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna be honest. I think that definitely didn't set us apart, but I definitely do think like that made us think differently. We were high schoolers going with a million things in our head because our whole life was basketball at that point.
Yeah.
All we did was eat, breathe, and fucking train basketball.
That's all we knew.
Hey, that do be facts, man. That's why I probably failed chemistry. Shit, I had to go to 6th period for that hoe. I remember. I was showing up after school into the computer lab. They're like, what you here for? Like, chemistry?
Bro, you failed chemistry because you never fucking showed up to any class, bro.
Hey, first of all, I showed up late, but I was there. Junior year, I failed it because fucking Saeed, motherfucker. He was a senior taking that bitch with me. Motherfucker didn't do his half of the science project. And I said, fuck it, I ain't doing it. And then I failed. Adams Barrett was an asshole.
That's tough, bro. But yeah, no, we should have definitely won that. And then my senior year, we got to the Valley Championship again.
You guys surprised me that year. You fucking took over.
I was balling out of control.
Dude, you were balling the fuck out.
I feel like, because I don't know if you know this too, or you noticed this as well, is that after high school, you played basketball like a little bit better.
Oh, most definitely.
Dude, because I was not even scared, bro. Like after Henderson left, right, or whatever happened, the new coach, I was like, bro, I'm hooping. Like, it's my last year, you know what I'm saying? I came back from Germany, so I was a foreign exchange student for the first half of my senior year. And so when I came back, we were like 0-7. Like our
You guys
basketball.
were, you guys were fucking ass.
So I didn't play for the first like beginning half of the season because I was a foreign exchange student. So when I came back, we were like 0-7. We were like not gonna make anything, right? You know what I'm saying? I ended up coming back. We still didn't do good until probably like midway through the season. We got like, I think we were like 12 and like 18. Like it was not good, bro. It was not good. Like we were like the 8th seed or something like that.
Yeah, you guys were a low ass seed because I remember everybody's like, oh, you guys were supposed to lose to Layton.
Yeah, we're supposed to lose to everybody, bro.
You guys were supposed to lose to everybody because you guys went to go play Layton. I remember Layton was hyped because they're like, oh, we're gonna win.
Yeah.
And then we went to go watch you guys. It was me and Dorian, and you guys whooped their ass, and we're like,
And then Farmers, and then Fresno Christian. Were you at the Fresno Christian game?
nah, we didn't go to. Yes, we did.
Dude, the Fresno Christian game was
Yes.
lit. Dude, everybody was there, bro.
Oh, we did.
Everybody was at Fresno Christian.
Because we got asked to leave. Because me and John made a sign that said God loves us for free.
Oh,
And I remember we got in trouble, and I remember Laurie was like, you guys can't be putting it up. So we put it down, and then towards the end of the game, we started putting it up again.
Right.
And then Laurie's like, yeah, you guys are gonna have to leave. We were like, man, we fucking left. We were like, fuck this.
that's tough.
But yeah, that year you fucking balled out. I'll say that. You definitely carried them. It was something different. It was half envy and half happiness because we were kind of like, damn, like this should have happened last year. But at the same time, it was like, we were glad. We wanted to see you guys get a ring.
Yeah.
You guys deserved it. I mean, it was you, Hardy, Suckman, and Pratik, right?
Dude, it was like, bro, I don't even know how we won, bro. Like, we were just out there. We were like, because Suckman, Hardy, Dutique, and we've been friends since like 3rd grade, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we all know that like our basketball talent was not like on par with the other people we were playing, but we just played harder than everybody else, bro. Like I remember talking to Hardy and we're like, this is our senior year. Like we don't have anything after this. Like we gotta put like all that,
Figure it out.
you know. So we just
Low-key, though, I think that was all 4 years of high school playing ball, though, because we played scrappy, man. We were the only team that would dive on the floor. We'd take charges, start fights, you know what I'm saying? Figure stuff. Like, we were the only guys that stood up. And I mean, that goes to show our bond, though, because we would also fight for each other.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, if one person got into it, the benches were cleared, and we were
Getting after it, bro.
everybody was going after it. And if you weren't going after it, you were at least trying to jump in the middle.
Yeah. Dude, I wish we could have seen us play at the next level, bro. Like, I mean, so I went to go play at college. Like, I tried to play at college. I ended up walking on, but then tearing my patellar tendon twice. So I stopped playing basketball after that.
He said I gave it. I think
that if we kept playing together or we just kept playing, like, we were getting to that point, we were like pretty good. Like, I'll be watching college games. I'll be like, we could beat these guys straight up. Like, I'll be like, yo, put a team together. Because I play against them sometimes. Like, I'll be hooping and I'll go here and there. I'll play in these tournaments. I'm like, I could compete with these guys. Like, straight up.
dude, I'm going to be honest. I'll say there's a few on our team. I do not count myself. But I think you, Dorian, Joha, and Hardy, because Hardy's very fucking athletic.
He's like so fucking weirdly athletic, bro.
Weirdly athletic. That motherfucker can jump out the gym.
Yeah.
He's fat, weirdly athletic. I think if you four like tripled down, like you guys could have definitely ranked. Because what you said is very true. Like I'm telling you, when me and Dorian went to go play with these PE classes, it wasn't easy money, but it was something that I could handle. Where I was kind of like, yo. I also think the fear of us when we were in high school is definitely something that caused us to not be as great.
It was like in our head, you know.
Yeah. Because we didn't think much of ourselves, and after we graduated, it was one of those like, oh shit situations. Like I'm him. Start doing shit for ourselves.
Yeah.
I wish we would have. I wish we would have kept and even played like, well, we did the Kerman 3-on-3 tournament, and we made it to the finals.
Oh yeah, we did.
You remember?
Yeah,
we lost in the big court, and I think we lost by 1 point.
Yo, we should. We were playing the 3-on-3 tournament, but you gotta go.
Yeah, but I was doing
You
stuff.
still won though.
Yeah, because it's just like I remember the Kerman tournament. We should have won, but we played the Kerman team, and I remember they called the ticky-tack foul because they had refs for the finals.
Yeah,
and we lost, and then they were like, "Oh, you guys can play for 3rd place," and then we ended up getting 3rd. But I was like, "Man, this is bullshit."
Yeah.
I think we would have definitely been into something because of our bond. I mean, look to this day, dude. I've been out of high school 7 years now.
Yeah.
Or 6 years. No, 7. 16, yeah.
6 years.
7 years. You've been out 6.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, we all still talk to each other. Like, it's very few people on the team that we don't communicate with as much, but the majority of the team still
It's like
talks to everybody.
I got a core was still like close.
Yeah, like it is. I think it's the majority of us because I mean, pretty sure you can count with less than 4 fingers. Take it. It was only a 15-man team, but it's only like 2 or 3 that we don't talk to as much. So I mean, that just goes to show how strong our bond was. Which I mean, I think it went from car washes to the burrito selling to the pumpkin spice walking up and down the stands.
We were putting in that work, man.
Dude, we had to we had to hustle in the sense that we had to sell everything to everybody at school, and it was fun.
Yeah,
I think it was worth it. We got an experience we would have never got before, man. When Arizona, that will forever be some of the highlight. We got to go to the Monterey. We played that school, and then we did the little fire. We did a little bonfire. Had the Gardeli, right? That's the chocolate factory.
Like whatever,
Hey, man, I thought that shit was fun, but I think all that shit adds up, and all it is memories, man. Some really good memories.
But I think that's what's key though. Is like I'm kind of growing up a little bit, and like I like materialistic shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there's really nothing in this world that's as valuable to me as like those memories.
You want to know something? And this definitely hits home. It's like before I left, I didn't grow up the best. I didn't grow up poor. I grew up in a middle, you know. My parents worked their ass off to give me stuff. Didn't have a lot. We were a lot. So as I got older, materialistic stuff was something that I looked into. I wanted J's. I mean, I always wore my fucking sandals to high school. For those of you guys that remember, I would always wear, because I mean, yeah, that's how I was. So when I left to the military, that's when I got a shoe collection that I don't even fucking wear. I have like 15 shoes, right? But out of those 15 shoes, I realized when I was there, and I had a buddy that passed away, and then when my best friend O'Neal, one of his dudes passed away, and it's just like we sat there and we talked about life, and it's just like the reality of life is everything they owned just got passed on to the next person. It's like the only thing they left this world with is like what they remembered. Like money comes and goes. Like you can be broke for as long as you want, bro. Like, but if you hustle and you make some money, it's like when you die, you ain't taking that shit with you.
Yeah.
I think if you're religious or you're not religious, whatever you believe in, and if you believe you take your thoughts with you, it's like all you're going to take is those fun nights. Those nights that you were like, I don't know how I made it home. For those of you that drink, for those of you that don't drink, it's like, I don't know how I got away without getting in fucking trouble.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with that. Like I was materialistic, and now that I'm home, I realize like, dude, like it doesn't matter. Like you own what you own, you do what you do. At the end of the day, it's like, do what you love.
Yeah.
Have fun with what you do.
Cause like, yeah, that's true. It really is. And for me, it's like, I realized that 10 times, it's like the only things that bring me real joy is like this, like us talking about, damn, look at the shit we went through. How did we overcome that? You know what I'm saying? Like the times, like for me, like this is the funnest thing, or like not the funnest thing, but it's like one of like the coolest things or most like enjoyable things for me to do is reminisce on what we had to, you know, go through, conquer, and then, you know, live through as well.
Most definitely. Some people don't.
I don't know. It's different for people because like we had to actually really go through shit, and for us, it's like, damn, we actually like accomplished this.
Well, not only that, it's different experiences. Some people don't like it. Like some people don't like to talk about high school. Like when I was in the military,
but it's not even high school though. It's like everything.
No,
like,
I agree. But for some people, it's like they don't like to. And again, at that point, it's just what you personally think. Because at that point, it's a mindset. Because there's some people that are like, oh, fuck high school. And then I would ask them, and a lot of them didn't do anything in high school.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you guys peaked. And I was like, no, I said, it's just fun. I said, you just got to do a lot of cool stuff. You got to hang out with your boys or your girls or whatever. I was like, low key, when I look back at it, like that was my favorite part of, well, high school wasn't, but my younger years, my favorite part, because you didn't have to worry about anything, bro.
Yeah.
You don't worry about bills. You don't worry about coming home late.
I mean, that's why you when you grow up, you start to like, dang,
you're like, damn. But it's like, then you have memories.
Yeah.
Like Suckman's head going through the wall in your garage. Hey, Coach D, Mrs. D, if y'all see this, I wasn't there. I just heard secondhand. They threw Suckman through a wall at her old house. Just saying. But stuff like that, it's just like, dude, all that little stuff is like funny memories.
Yeah.
Teague almost breaking his arm.
And I'm sure you have like you'll have more experiences like in the military with your other friends. You're probably gonna go back and talk about other stuff as well.
Almost definitely, man. We have our own stories. Like the funniest story we tell is, well, one of them is my boy's name's Dean. Homeboy with his sheets jumps off the third flight or the third story of a building because there was mad wind and parachutes down. I don't know how this motherfucker did it, but he didn't break anything. There was a mattress and he like hit the edge of the mattress and fell. So I think that took most of his impact. But it was just like that. Or there's called the smoke pit where everybody goes to smoke cigarettes. And those are like the most infamous stories of like where stuff happens, because it can go from a really good talk about like, oh, your future, to a really weird, creepy talk about people that are freaky and what they like to do. It's like a hit or miss, but it's just all those fun memories, man. Or my funniest story that I tell about my personal self is with my buddy O'Neill. We were deployed on a ship on the LHA. It's like a mini carrier. Yeah. We had jets and stuff. Well, we were doing a RAS, which is a resupply for the ship, and we didn't eat. We worked like 12 hours straight, passing the boxes down, whatever, and we were hungry, and the Navy doesn't really like us. They don't like Marines because they say all we do is take up space and eat, which is true, and fight. And we freaking couldn't find food. And he was like, hey, man, downstairs, they have that snack machine with candy. And I was like, oh, shit, you're right. He's like, let's go downstairs. So we walked down and all they had was Reese's and Snickers. Now, I know you're a big Reese's fan, but I don't like Reese's. So we walked down there and there was 2 dudes in front of us and there was 4 Snickers and there was like 10 Reese's. Yeah. And I said out loud, I was like, oh, dude, I said, I want a Snickers. So the first dude got his Reese's and left. Well, the dude in front of us, thought he would be funny. He started buying the Snickers. So he bought 1, he bought 2, there was 2 left. And when there was 2 left, I was like, I know you heard me. I said, I want a Snickers. He bought the 3rd one and he looked back and smirked. And O'Neill, he's my best friend. That's why I say he's one of my best friends to this day. Motherfucker goes, I swear to God, if you put that credit card back in the slot, I'm gonna beat your ass. And the dude looked and looked back again. He puts it in the fucking card slot. And I was kind of like, dude, I was like, God. In my head, I was like, whatever, like he was in line before me. Well, as I thought that, not even a quarter of a second, I see a white hand, which is O'Neill, reach over, rips his card out, and just freaking rocks the dude with one hand. Now, O'Neill started boxing when he was like 15. Yeah. And at this point, I think O'Neill was like 19. So he had been boxing for like 3 years. Yeah. He boxed every day. So homeboy was strong. He rocks him with one hand. Well, I didn't even think about it. I was not thinking. There's 2 dudes that were waiting outside and the dude that walked out that were with him. So it turned into a 4v2 fight. And I will never forget, I was just like, oh, shit. And I just saw them running in. I was like, I guess we're fighting. I just put my back against the vending machine. I just started swinging. And finally, one of their dudes, I think we clocked him right in the nose because he started bleeding. He was like, all right. He's like, quits. And we all like stopped. And O'Neill's like, I'm telling you. He's like, don't put your card back in. And he puts his card in. And I grabbed O'Neill. I was like, hey. I was like, give him a second. He's like, wait. And he ends up giving us the Snickers for free. And I was like, bro, all we need to do is whoop your ass. But that was one of the funniest stories, man. I have a few fighting stories. Yeah. There's another one at a bar with 2 of my freaking best friends. One of them's named Gonzo. The other one's named Jason. Jason's a bodybuilder, actually. We were at a bar. It was a bar/club. It was more of a club. Something happened, man. Some dude was creeping out this chick. And I guess he told the dude to chill out. The dude had been he had picked a problem with us 2 weeks prior or whatever. Jason's like, hey, bro, chill. Him and the dude end up like bickering, and Jason's huge, man. Jason's like 6'3", and he's 210, and he's solid freaking muscle. I'll show you a pic after. Yeah. He's a bodybuilder. He drags him 20 feet and throws him on the floor. Well, when he drags him and throws him, he kind of is like, I ain't trying to fight, trying to get this kid out the way. So I walk over there. And as security runs up and kind of hugs Jason, the kid stands up and swings at him. He misses. But I was just like, hey, bro, why are you going to swing at him when security's grabbing him? Yeah. Like, come on, dude. And the kid picks up his hands. And my natural reaction was just left. I just hit him with my left. Where I got tackled on the floor. My Yeezy was in the middle of the freaking dance floor. And there was a circle. And security was on top of me. And Buddy Gonzo, he's a short one of the group. He's like 5'4". Homeboy comes from within the crowd, and the way he explained it was funny as shit. He said, I saw a fight happening. I didn't see who was fighting. He said, I walk out and I see your Yeezy. He said, I recognized it. He said, and I look and I see you on the floor with security. He's like, and I was like, somebody tackled my boy. He said he looks around. First person he saw, he uppercutted, which thank God was the right guy. Uppercuts the dude, knocks his ass out. Dude's on the floor, and homeboy goes back into the crowd. Well, homeboy like starts waking up, and I somehow get away from security, and I run up to him. And before he could get up, I kicked him in the ribs. Had no shoe on. I start kicking his face with no shoe, and then I started getting choked out by security. And I was like, dude, I was like, God damn, that was probably the funniest fight I've ever been in. And
Where was that at?
That was in Japan.
That was in Japan?
Okinawa, Japan. And the funniest thing is, they don't even really ban you there. Like, all they told us was like, hey, can you guys please leave? And then we were like, okay. So after they choked me out for that shit, I almost passed out. I was starting to see colors. They let me go, and they're like, hey, yeah, you guys need to leave. But the very next day, we went back to the same bar with the same security.
Why did you go?
Because there's only a handful of bars there, or clubs, and that was the Poppin' Club. That's where all the right people went, if you know what I mean. So that's where everybody was. And we show up the next night, and the security guard just stares at me, and he's just like, hey, man, are you going to pick a fight? And I was like, I didn't pick no fight, bro. And they just laughed, and they're like, hey, man. They're like, just don't be starting problems tonight. And I was like, okay. They let us right back into the club.
That's crazy.
I was like,
that would not happen here, bro.
I mean, that's why I loved it overseas, though, because the other thing is, the only trouble there was us. The locals caused no trouble.
Yeah.
It was all Americans. And I mean, we couldn't own guns there. We were there in military service. You can't take your gun off base.
Yeah.
So we knew if you got into a fight, like, you were scrapping barehanded, like, you weren't carrying anything with you. So,
I guess it's a little bit safer because, like, here, like, people have knives, guns.
They have everything, man.
Yeah.
Shit, it just happened, I think, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, right? Cinco de Mayo weekend. Yeah, I think it might have been Cinco de Mayo, actually. So the 5th, I was out. But the 6th, I went out, and I went to Tower. And we went to go get tacos, and the night prior, there's a big fight in front of Tower. And I asked the taco person, I was like, hey, dude, like, how big was the fight? Like, what actually happened? And the dude's like, oh, he's like, some dude got knocked out, and he was on the floor, and they kept kicking him. Well, as we were conversating, I was like, dude, that's crazy. I said, that's why I said I'm always careful when I come. And I mean, I don't drink. So I was like, I'm always aware of my surroundings. And as we were talking, some dude behind me, I didn't see it on the news, but the two dudes, there's two of them. They both claimed the same thing, that there's a shooting at Mezcal, which is a downtown club.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's crazy. Like, I don't know. I think it's like, why wouldn't they just fight? You know what I'm saying? But I guess I was like, that's creepy, dude. Like, you can't even be safe trying to have fun anymore.
Yeah.
It's a scary thing, man.
So another reason why I want you to come on here today was because Memorial Day is tomorrow, you know, and obviously, you know, you were in the military. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on that? Like, you know,
I think people need to remember, and I mean, I remind myself a lot.
How much time do you have, bro?
No, you're good. You're good. I was just glancing. They're barely leaving the house, so shit, probably another hour. I personally say, right, I think people should realize, and I realize it now that I'm in, but I didn't realize it before. It's like, Memorial Day weekend isn't for the veterans. A lot of people always think like, oh, you're a vet, like, thank you. It's like, no, dude, like, I have my day, and I think it's November. It's in November. Someday in November is Veterans Day. And it's just like, we have our day. It's like, today's for everybody that didn't make it home, whether it was in combat or non-combat. It's like, it's for all of our brothers and sisters, people we served with overseas. And for like the Marine Corps, I won't speak for any other branches, but like the Marine Corps, like everybody that's a Marine, if they pass away, like, you're going to feel for them, whether you knew them or not. Because I know they went through the same 4 months of hell that I did. I know they went through boot camp, and I know they went through MCT. So it's like, we have that mutual understanding. And I feel people need to realize sometimes, like, Memorial Weekend is about the people that were gone. And a lot of vets do feel that. A lot of vets do whatever tradition they do. Like, a lot of us will, I don't know if you guys will ever notice, will leave, if they drink, they'll leave an open beer, an open cup, and it'll be like for that person. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a big thing. I think it's a thing for remembrance for us.
Yeah.
Especially whenever you know somebody while you were in that passed away, it's like, it's definitely like, okay, like, it's for them.
Yeah.
Because that mean a lot of people got cut short from life. They were young. They had big ambitions. There was dudes that I knew that were going to do big things, and it's like, tragedy happens and they couldn't. So Memorial Day, I feel for everybody should be a thought of that. Like, have fun, enjoy your thing, but don't think it's a free weekend. Like, somebody paid for it. And I thought it was corny, and I think it's corny to this day, but it's true. It's like I go to the VA hospital because I mean, I have messed up back and stuff, so I have to go for therapy and stuff, for physical therapy. But it's like they have it on their glass window, and I see it every time I go. And it's like, freedom isn't free, which I get it. America isn't the best country to a lot of people. America isn't whatever. But it's like there's a lot of people that have died for basic stuff.
Yeah.
And this weekend is all about them. All the way from the beginning to current day, since the revolution to now. It's like this weekend to me is for them. It's not just one day, it's the whole weekend. Like that one day specific to them. Do what you want. But that's what I think of Memorial Weekend. I think everybody can have their own thoughts. You can have your own opinions. You can think it's a party weekend, a sales weekend. I know all these freaking places do Memorial Day weekends, sales. So it's just like, think what you want. But personally, I think it should be a weekend of, you use a big ass word.
Remembrance.
Remembrance, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like remembering everything about them. It's like remembering how they were in life, your interactions with them, what you did with them, how fun it was, how sad it was. Because, I mean, you go through sad stuff. Even if you don't do combat or tragedy, but you're overseas, it's like you go through sad stuff because, shit, dude, you're away from home. You're not around your family. You get no comfort food, no comfort anything. So it's a lot of remembrance. I think that's what Memorial Day weekend is. Should be remembering more than anything.
What's and I agree with that. What do you think your stance is now from, like, how do you view America and how do you respect America before joining military and after?
Shit, that's a good one. I'll say I've always known, you know, America has its faults. It is what it is. Like we can't change that shit overnight. But I've definitely seen, like, we have a lot of perks of being here. A lot of perks in the matter of we deal with a lot of bullshit. Don't get me wrong. Like, ain't nobody care about the lower class American, like, or better off said, like the working class American.
Yeah.
Shit. And I noticed that with my parents, like we didn't have Medicare, all that stuff growing up, you know, whatever. But I've realized, like, other countries don't care, dude. Like Japan, for example. Japan's one of my favorite examples to use. Everybody thinks what a great country. They're an amazing country. Amazing. They're clean. They're nice. But let me tell you about their cops, man. Ooh, those dudes don't give a shit. They will do what they want when they want. What I'm going to say is, if you run from them, you better get away because they will beat you. And if you're a local, there's a dude doing donuts in a moped. For those of you guys that don't know, it's a little scooter.
Yeah, a little, like, yeah.
Dude was doing donuts in a moped. The cop came in at like 30 miles an hour and hit him. Didn't give him first aid. Didn't call the ambulance. Picked him up, handcuffed them, threw him in the back of the car, moved the moped, and on the...
So he's on the moped and a cop just...
Yep, hits him. Because he was protesting in front of one of the military bases for us. And they were like, yeah. But that was normal to them. When I was there, they made a kid go blind. I guess they told him to stop. He didn't stop. And mopeds are used a lot over there.
Yeah.
And I think he was driving his moped and they hit him with a baton straight in the face. Made the kid blind. So it's just like, but nothing happens to them.
Yeah.
That's one example. Then I go to other countries, which we all know, like third world countries, like Thailand. Mongolia was a third world country. And I mean, I only got to explore for 8 hours, 10 hours. But in those 8-10 hours, like, dude, you could have got murdered there and ain't nobody would have batted an eye. Like, it could have happened in the middle of the street and they wouldn't have cared.
Yeah.
To whereas here, like, somebody will say something.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody will record.
Someone will record. There'll be some sort of proof going on of what happened. And in a lot of those countries, it wasn't. But it also showed me we're materialistic as shit here.
Yeah.
Because the countries that we visited, Mongolia probably was the one. They had absolutely nothing. These dudes lived in tents because they're nomads.
Yeah.
A lot of them lived in tents. They only had one city, and it's called Ulaanbaatar.
Yeah.
And I think they might have another one, but that's the city we went to. But everything outside of Ulaanbaatar was fields for miles and miles, and you just see little pop-up tents. And they had horses and stuff, and those dudes were happy. Happy as shit. They owned little horses or cows, and they all drove Priuses, but in the city, they all drove G-Wagons.
Okay. Interesting.
And when we asked why, we asked one of the guys, he said because they were so close to Russia, G-Wagons were cheap for them.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
Because they didn't have to import anything.
Well, G-Wagons are German.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, what the hell? I thought they were Russian. Well, that's what the dude said.
But I think Russia does have a surplus of like probably
Of G-Wagons?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know how they did it. Well, that's what Homeboy said. I don't know where the fuck they come from. But all I know is
They're German, yeah.
he said they were cheap there, but everybody drove like G-Wagons
Yeah.
to where I was like, damn. So when I came back, that's another thing that changed is like everybody here is, we're all basically materialistic, or we try to fade away from it. And it's different, man. Like people here don't have manners either. And it's like a lot of the countries I visited, even the third world countries, like motherfuckers had manners.
Yeah.
Like they
You
were
think it's because
polite.
we have a sense of like entitlement here?
Oh, 100%. Because everybody thinks like we automatically deserve it. We automatically should get it. And it's just like, dude, that's not how this works, man. Like that ain't life, dude.
Yeah.
That ain't it. Like nobody's gonna hand you shit in life. You're never gonna get something free. And if you do, there's a backhand coming at some point.
Yeah. Like there's a quote that says like nothing in this world is ever really free. You may not see the price at the beginning, but the price will come eventually.
It's very true. I've learned that very quickly. It's like nothing, you won't get anything. And everything you work for, like if you want it, you're gonna have to work. Because shit, I think I told you guys, I left, right, to start a new chapter, to see the world. But I also left because I wanted it to be a stepping stone to get into a police department a lot faster, or to get into the CHP to be exact. Came back and I got denied. And it's funny because out of my platoon that I deployed with to non-combat deployments, I think at least, I'll say 5 of us, at least 5 of us, so almost half, have applied for police departments and only 1 has gotten in.
Wow.
So it's like all the lies they told us, or well, it wasn't lies, but all the stuff they hyped us up with, like, wasn't true. Like, they didn't. And it's only one dude, and his name is Ram. Well, his name's Ramirez, but we all call him Ram, and he's from Arizona. He's the only one. The rest of us that have applied have all been denied for X, Y, and Z reasons. We've all been denied, and they tell us to reapply again. Whether it be because, I mean, we lived overseas for 3 years.
Yeah.
And we barely came back. So now I'm just trying to get my A before I apply, so I can have some sort of degree. I'll be like, look at this. Look at this.
Damn. That's crazy. Move your mic up real quick. Yeah, like twist it. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
That's crazy. So what do you think the real, this is kind of controversial a little bit, but like, do you think it's necessary for us to be like, for you to go do those things, or for, like have bases in all these places? Like, do you think it's necessary for America to be in all these other countries?
So I'm gonna be honest. At first I thought no, then I thought yes, and now I'm on the border of yes and no, because to an extent it is.
Yeah.
Because it's our reaction time to stuff. Take it. There's some places I feel we don't belong. Again, personal opinion. Everybody has their own. Like my personal opinion is we don't belong in Ukraine. I feel keep hands out. My personal opinion.
Yeah.
But I feel us having bases in Japan and South Korea and Africa's, I'm in between, like whether it's good or bad, or like good stuff, because it's just like now we're able to move. Have you ever played the game? What is it? Risk, right?
Yeah.
Which is like a war game.
Yeah.
It's like the more you move your troops out, the easier it is if something happens, you're able to snap.
Yeah.
Because that's our advantage right now against a lot of countries is, I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure we have way more bases than any other country does.
Yeah, we have, our military budget is like the biggest in the entire world.
Yeah, I think you can add the first 10 countries after us, and we'd still have a bigger budget than them.
Yeah.
But like I said, the bases I think are a good thing. I think us getting into problems we don't need are a bad thing, which is something that I will always say, where it's like, if there's a reason, then okay. But if there's not a reason, I feel we shouldn't be there. But I
feel like that's a problem that we've always had, is always getting into conflicts that we shouldn't have been in.
Yeah, it's what do they call it, or what is it? Our military industrial system, or industrial complex is what it is, because we have so many places in the U.S. that supply weaponry that we need conflict to keep it going. Which is a big issue that is going on right now, is we're giving away so much stuff to Ukraine that they're saying that we're going to bring it back rolling alive, because we're going to give them jobs to do, because we're getting rid of a lot of tanks and stuff right now to Ukraine. I think we gave them some of our Patriot missile systems and all this other stuff. So I don't know how that works.
Afghanistan too, right? We just left a bunch of...
Oh, yeah.
Was that Afghanistan?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we just
It was
left.
Kabul.
and we just left all of our shit there.
I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that one, man. We left so much shit. It's not even funny. And to this day, I will say this. To this day, nobody in government has said whose fault it was. To this day, they all just point fingers.
We're just leaving millions, like tens of millions of dollars worth of equipment over there.
We made them the strongest. We made the Taliban the strongest government in that region overnight.
That's crazy.
Because we left sea trains full of weapons. Yeah. We left them Blackhawks. Those dudes were literally YouTubing how to drive them. I don't know or fly them. Sorry. Yeah. If you guys didn't see, they had YouTube videos of them flying them, and they actually killed somebody that way. There was a video where they like hanged a dude and picked him up, and he was just hanging off the fucking helicopter.
That's so fucked up, man.
But yeah, they just left stuff there overnight, and I thought that shit was crazy. I thought it was insane when that thing happened. Actually, I think I was on the Mew. Because we were on ship and they gave us a whole speech about it. Because as you know, the bombing happened, the 13 died, and they were like, hey, they're like, we might go back in again. They're like, so everybody be ready. And we were hyped, but I mean, in all reality, like we should have known we were getting finessed because our AO or area operation was Southeast Asia. Yeah. And that isn't in Asia anymore. That's the Middle East. Yeah. So we should have known, but they hyped us up, man. We were hyped for like a day or two, and they're like, oh, you guys might. And then of course nothing happened. We didn't even give a response back after they did that. Like after they did the bombing. I personally think we left, trying to think of a politically correct word, but we basically left limping from the fight. Yeah. Where if we would have taken all of our stuff, nobody would have died. Like we would have left strong and would have been like, cool. We left on our terms, but in reality it's like we didn't. Yeah. We had people die at the end. We left so much shit behind. I don't know if you've seen the videos of the C-130s, which is the big carrier airplanes. They're not the biggest, but they're one of the bigger carrier airplanes, with people hanging on the tires and stuff. I
saw it, yeah, and they fall off for like in the sky. Yeah.
They were thousands of feet in the air. I was like, dude, that's just crazy. Yeah. But that's the same thing happening at the borders right now. I don't know if you've seen the videos.
Of where?
The south border right now. So my buddy lives in El Paso, Texas, and I asked him how true it was. How true the videos were, and he said that they're really true. There's a bridge that connects apparently El Paso, I forget the Mexican city, but it connects it to a Mexican city, and I guess they put barbed wire and stuff. Well, people were throwing clothes on it trying to get over, and apparently they're wreaking havoc down there right now. Where I'm just like, that is crazy. That is crazy.
That is pretty crazy. Have you? I guess let's just do it quick. We're gonna take a quick break for our sponsor, and we'll be back. There's a lot more I want to go over, so make sure you guys don't leave. There's like we went over combat. There's like some more personal stuff and stories, so don't leave quite yet. But we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back. Yeah, we're gonna close up here pretty soon, but there's a couple more things I want to ask. One is, was there ever a time where you were close to like getting into a conflict where you had to like be ready, on standby, ready to go to war, or like some sort of conflict you had to resolve?
So I'll say yes, but you can't prove it because the military plays with you so much. Like they'll play you to hype you up. So I can't say we were there and saw people shooting at each other, but there was a time or two where they like called us out to standby and started giving out rounds to people, and they were like, hey, start loading your magazine when I was on ship. But the thing is, I can't confirm it and be like, oh dude, like there was a fight and we're gonna get there. Like I just know what I was told, and it was just like, hey, you guys have 30 minutes, have everything ready, have water, let's go. And we were on the ramp to go onto the helo because at that time I was on the helo raid team. They had us on the ramp ready to go, and we had our magazines loaded, our guns, and all they told us is we were landing on an island and all this other stuff, and that we were gonna bound, which is basically you get off and you take trips, and take it over. And that was it. And last second, they like called it off. Like we were all loaded up. We were ready to rock and roll. We're at the door. And last second, not even last second, we were there for, I think, 4 hours. And then after the 4 hours, they were like, okay, everybody get in line. Like you're going to count every single round. Because, I mean, they keep track of everything. Yeah. So then we had to sit there like another 2 or 3 hours afterwards, counting every single bullet out and making sure we gave every bullet back. But that was probably the closest I think I ever got. I mean, it's about it. Training scenarios run you pretty close, but
how do you feel in that situation? Like you're getting ready, like they're telling you like get ready, putting the rounds in. Like what are you thinking? What are you feeling in that moment?
It was an adrenaline rush, man. It was an adrenaline hype because this is terrible language. Excuse people, excuse my profanity right now. But my stepson used to say, you get blue balled a lot in the military.
Yeah.
You get trained for combat. And nowadays, I can almost guarantee you 95% of military members do not see combat. Like, that's not really a thing. Unless you're special forces. If you're special forces, you're out there getting shit done. But everybody else, like, regardless of what your job was, my job was a combat job. And I feel we get blue balled so much that you're hyped, you're ready. It's like that first time, you're going to get it in. You're like, hey, let's go. So I don't think, I wasn't thinking at the time, and I'm pretty sure my buddies weren't thinking. You don't think of the dangers at the time. Like, at that time, I wasn't thinking like, oh, I might get shot. Hell no. At that time, I was thinking like, fuck yes, I'm finally going to get to unload my freaking magazine in somebody. I was like, yes, let's go. I was like, come on. And it's just hype and adrenaline, man. It's hype and adrenaline. And in the instant, I don't know what it is. From what I've heard from my staff sergeant and other combat vets, is when that shit hits the fan, it's a natural reaction is freeze. And he says, that's what they said. I don't know, but I believe them 100%. My staff sergeant was very real. And I talked to some of the veterans at the VA hospital, and they say the same thing, where they're like, the first rounds, like, you freeze. Again, I don't know from personal experience, but they say that once the adrenaline hits, it's the same. Because they asked me, and I gave them the same answer, and they're like, how was your adrenaline? I was like, it was through the roof, man. I could have gone all night, man. We were hyped. We were ready to go, man.
Yeah. That's crazy. So you go back to that point, you're saying like 95% of, you guys don't really see combat. Do you think there's a point to having so many people that are just like on standby?
Oh, most definitely, because you don't know when it's going to pop off. You don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But the reason I say we don't see combat is there's no active conflicts going on. Because think of it this way, right? In the past 4 years, like, there's been stuff that goes on, like embassy evacuations, whatever. But the only real big stuff that's happened is the Kabul incident. Yeah. Where people actually went to go see stuff. The majority of everybody else, like, the most you did was an embassy evacuation. Like, that was at most what you got to do, right? Yeah. Unless you provide a security detail. But, I mean, at that point, I don't think your adrenaline is the same. Like, I'll say when I did work the security for that 4-star, we did have a dude run one of the barriers, and we, like, pointed our rifles. But it's not the same adrenaline as when you're about to go into full-on what you believe is going to be combat. Because even the embassy evacuations, like, there was no combat. Like, you were just getting people out, and there was riots going on, and you were just like boom, boom, boom. So I don't know. I think it's different. I think I was part of I consider myself unlucky, but combat vets will get mad all day and say we are very lucky to not go to combat because of the stuff you see. And most people, like I said, most people don't even leave their bases, if I'm being honest. Like, a lot of these veterans, regardless of their jobs, I'm gonna be honest, will start saying like they went to foreign countries, which they might have, but then they'll start saying they did stuff that they didn't, or they'll start hyping people up, because a lot of it doesn't happen. And a lot of it is like OPSEC, and it's just like a lot of those people that do stuff, if they've even done non-combat deployments, they know, like, you can't say, because there's somebody, not gonna say who, but there was somebody a few years ago when the Kabul incident happened in 2020 that like said that they were going into Kabul, and they like texted that they were gonna, and it's just like, dude, that's not the reality of it. Like, if you were actually going, you wouldn't have a chance. Like, they'd give you a chance to call your family, but they wouldn't give you a chance to be on your phone, because I did non-combat deployments, right? I went for UN missions, all this other stuff. I wasn't going to go kill people and fight. I was going to help or whatever. I wasn't allowed my phone. Like, if you ask my parents, like, they were worried, because there would be 2-3 months at a time where I'd call them off a payphone like I was in fucking prison. And I'd be like, hey guys, like that. And I'd try to call on their birthdays, because the first big deployment I went on was January through mid-May, like right before my birthday. That was when I was on ship, and that's when we went to Thailand. Okay. And we did like little stops on the way and stuff, and you'd fly off the ship and go to like little islands. And I got lucky enough to see like a Chinese man-made island. Literally, it was just a bunch of sand in the middle of the fucking water. It was a bunch of sand in the butt. I got lucky enough to see that and stuff like that. I got to see Chinese ships. But like I said, you don't, I feel a lot of people do that. But for the reality of the truth is, like, current veterans or current military members, like, we're not going to get to see Well, we thought we were. I thought I was gonna go into the Middle East and kick doors in, and
Well, what about Ukraine? Do you think we're gonna be?
I think we're bound to get in there at some point.
Would you get called up then for that, or are you out?
They could. I mean, you still have 4 years of inactive, so I still have 4 years where they can call me at any point.
Yeah.
Would I go? You'd catch a boy in Mexico because, like I said, I don't feel there's a need for us to be there.
Yeah.
Like, that's an inner problem that they have that we're spending money on, that literally everybody in the world is saying have them make peace, and the US is the only one that's like, fuck peace,
Fund that.
yeah, they're like, we'll fund you, and it's just like, dude, come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
I feel they're forgetting about everybody back home, like not just veterans. I feel they're forgetting about a lot of their citizens, populations that need help.
Well, they say, like, I mean, if you think about it, right? We had the Great Depression, right?
Yeah.
And then we had the war, and they say that war generates revenue, and so they want to, kind of kickstart things here and like make it so we all come together and work as one. USA versus everybody, and try to like make that a thing again.
Well, dude, the opposite is happening though.
It is. You're right. It is. The opposite is happening.
It's the opposite, man. And everybody has their own beliefs. Believe what you want. The only rule I always have, and I will always tell people, is like, I will never press my beliefs on you, and I don't feel you should press your beliefs on me. And it's like, I'll carry about my day. And I feel that that's what's dividing the country, is everybody feels like, if you don't believe what I believe, then we have an issue. And it's like, that's not how it works, dude. You can have opposite thoughts. You can still be cool, like, communicate. But I definitely think I'll agree with what you said, like 100%. I think it's a way they're trying to start it because it's the military industrial revolution. And
we had like the whole finance crisis too with COVID and stuff like that, and like the banks failing or now. So like, I feel like they're really trying to push this, but I mean, I don't really know too much about it. But I think from a finance standpoint, it seems ridiculous that they're gonna put more money into that.
Yeah, but I feel it's making countries turn against us. And I know nobody cares about like the African continent and their countries because they're not the richest. But if they get together, like they're pretty strong, and they make a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've been seeing, there's been a few of the countries, I can't think of them off the top of my name, but I've seen at least 2 ambassadors for 2 countries from them say the same thing, where they're like, why is America trying to get involved with my politics when it's my country? Which the Mexican president actually just said that a while back too, where he was just like, they need to stop getting in everybody's business.
Yeah.
And I feel us getting involved in Ukraine is causing it even more. And it's causing it at home because there's people here that need help and aren't fucking getting it.
Yeah.
And it's sad because there's a lot of homeless vets, and I get it. Some of them, even regular people, it's like some of the regular homeless civilians, I get it. They're drug addicts and stuff, but it's like some of them have actually fallen on hard times, and they need a little push, Mental health now is like a big thing too.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel we need to invest more money into our own population before we invest into foreign nations.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So that's my take on that one.
I think it's very valid, and I appreciate it, bro, and appreciate all your time. I think we've been going for like an hour 45, so.
Sure, of course, big fella, anytime. I got you.
So this is episode 9, I think, or 10. I'll double check, but
he doesn't know how to count, guys. It's okay.
Yeah. We have Ronaldo Meza. This is one of my closest friends growing up. He's been in the military, been through a lot of shit together, so I appreciate you guys listening to this episode, and make sure you guys follow my Instagram. I'll link it down below.
Just.
But yeah. All right, man. Thank you.
Yeah.